Hey, you guys read the title, you know what this is gonna be. This is gonna be a plot summary of Avengers Endgame, which I've just seen, and it's gonna include all kinds of spoilers. So if you don't want to get spoiled, then I suggest you don't watch this video because it's all gonna be spoilers. Alright, so the movie starts out with Hawkeye and his family, and I should mention before I start this out, because I have only seen four MCU movies as a whole, so I don't really know much about anything. I've seen Guardians 1, Guardians 2, Infinity War, and Endgame. So it starts out with Hawkeye and his family, and they're shooting bows and stuff, and then Hawkeye's family disappears, and Hawkeye is like, "Oh no, my family!" So then it like goes into space with Iron Man and the Blue Nebula, and they're playing a game where they are throwing metal pieces at each other, and then it cuts to like 3 weeks later, and Tony Stark is dying, and because there's no oxygen and no food and water, but and he leaves a message for his wife. But then Captain Marvel shows up and she rescues him, and then it cuts to people on Earth being all sad and talking about Thanos, and then the ship lands and Captain Marvel is there, and Tony Stark walks out, but he is like a skeleton man because he's so dehydrated and stuff. And then they talk about the whole affair and where Thanos is and what they should do about it. And Tony Stark doesn't go with them, but the Avengers all hop into the spaceship and they fly into space and visit Thanos. And he's like a farmer now, and he picks off a few fruits, and then he sits down in his hut, and they surprise him, and like the Hulkbuster crawls off the ground and grabs him, and he's like super gross looking because his arm is all destroyed and stuff, and he's like all charred up like he was burned. Oh, I should mention they find him because he used the stones a second time, so that way they could track him. Anyways, so they find him there in his cabin, and they go there and all attack him at once, and then he tries to use his stones again. No, wait, he raises his arm with the one with the golden fist on it, and then Thor chops it off with his axe, and so he only has one arm left, and then his head is also chopped off, so he's completely dead now, and that's in the first 10 minutes of the movie. So then there's a 5 years jump cut in the future. Everyone is sad, everybody's moping around, uh, you know, because they lost so many lives, and um, the thing is, they went to the planet because the stones were there, but they found out that the energy blast that led them there was because the stones were destroyed, so the stones aren't there anymore, and Thanos destroyed them, so there's no way to get anyone back. And so everyone is sad, everyone is sitting around, you know, Captain America is holding like meetings where he tells people, hey, it's alright, it's all good. Then, like a rat crawls over a keyboard in a van, and inside the van, a machine activates, and Ant-Man is shot out of the van, and he's like, whoa, where am I? So Ant-Man walks around for a bit and finds out that half of the people have disappeared, and so he goes to the Avengers and tells them where he was and that he traveled through time because he was in the quantum realm where time works differently. So for him, the 5 years he spent in the quantum realm only felt like 5 hours. So they think, hey, maybe we can use time travel to travel back in time and prevent all this. So then they decide to just collect all the Avengers, and the Avengers are doing like a bunch of other stuff. Hawkeye is going around killing bad people because he's mad they survived and not good people. Um, Hulk, he's kind of, he's like a smart guy now. He merged his scientist half and his monster half into one person, so he's like a smart Hulk now. And then a few kids want to take a picture with him, and Ant-Man says, "Hey, I'm Ant-Man. Want to take a picture with me too?" And the kids say no, and then Ant-Man is sad, and the Hulk dabs. That's not a joke. That happened in the movie. Um, so, anyways, they go to Tony Stark's cabin in the woods, and he has like a family now and a daughter, and he built a Iron Man suit for his wife, and he doesn't want to go with them because he thinks time travel is impossible, and also because he doesn't want to lose any of what he has now, like family. Um, so they count him out and they leave. And later that night, Tony Stark does some calculations in his computer machine in his cabin in the woods and figures out how to uh, do time travel. And then he thinks, then yeah, he thinks, oh man, we can actually do this. Um, so, anyways, the uh, Avengers try and do some time travel experiments with Hulk, and Ant-Man is sent back in time, but he comes back as an old man and a baby and a kid, and then he is regular again, and then Tony Stark shows up and tells them what they did wrong with the time travel. So yeah, then they decide we should time travel now for real, so they all get together, and Rocket and Nebula, they come back from space. Captain Marvel isn't there because she's like doing space stuff, and so she's gone for basically the whole movie, um, mostly because she's too overpowered. Then Hulk and Rocket go to New Asgard, which is like a fishing town, and they find Thor there, but he's well, Thor is like an alcoholic now, and he's sitting in his little sea home, and he's drinking a bunch of beer and alcohol and stuff like that. Like, he's super drunk. He's fat now. He's got a long beard, got long hair again. Yeah, he mostly hangs out all day, gets drunk, plays Fortnite. Yeah, also his rock friend and his insect friend from that one movie are there, and they're playing Fortnite. And Thor tells Noob Master 69 that he's mean to his rock friend and that he will kill him or something. And then they get him back on board, and they all meet back up at the Avengers headquarters, and they talk about where all the stones were, and then they decide where they should time travel to. Uh, yeah, so they all get put on their suits and step in the machine, and they travel back in time in like three different groups. The first group is like Iron Man and Captain America and Hulk and Ant-Man, and they travel back to the city of New York, where the battle is happening in 2012 against those alien guys. And then the second group is just Rocket and Thor, and they are traveling to Asgard in 2013. And then there's Nebula and a War Machine, and they're traveling to 2014 on the planet where the first Guardians movie opens up, where Peter Quill steals the one stone. Anyways, they're trying to get all those stones from these different time periods so they can oh yeah, I didn't mention that, but they want to get everyone back by using the stones to do another snap, but a snap that brings everyone back. So at this point the movie gets kind of really confusing. So in New York, the Hulk goes to the place of Doctor Strange where he would live later to get the time stone, but the lady there doesn't want him to get this time stone because it would doom her timeline. But Hulk explains that Doctor Strange wanted them to gave his stone to Thanos, so she thinks, well, if Doctor Strange did that, then he must have a plan, so she gives Hulk the time stone, and the other two stones are with Loki, I think, and the staff and the cube. So they are trying to get the cube and the staff, um, and it's like a whole thing where their other selves are arresting Loki, and like the agents are carrying the staff away. So Captain America tries to get the staff, but they don't want to give him the staff because they're working for Hydra. But he tells them how Hydra, and so they give him the staff, and they have a whole bit where they're talking about how Captain America's booty looks really nice in that suit, and then Ant-Man rips out a part of Tony Stark's heart, they pass Tony Stark and gives him a minor heart attack, and then the briefcase drops in which the cube is held, and the cube rolls to Loki's feet, and Loki grabs it and teleports away, and so they decide they gotta travel back even further in time. So Iron Man and Tony Stark travel back to 1970, where they go to the facility at which Tony's father works, and they steal the cube from there. And Tony has a conversation with his dad, and then their mission is basically complete, and they have 3 stones and travel back to the future. Then the second group, Rocket and Thor, they're trying to extract one of the stones out of Natalie Portman. So Rocket pokes her with a needle in the behind and extracts it that way, and Thor cries to his mommy about being sad. And then they travel back to the future, and oh wait, no, I forgot to mention that in the 2014 group, there's also Hawkeye and Black Widow, and they fly to the planet where the Red Skull is, and like Gamora was killed by Thanos in the future of 2014. So 2014, that hasn't happened yet, but it will happen. So they go there, and Black Widow basically sacrifices herself so they get the Soul Stone, and War Machine, Nebula get the other stone that was in the planet that Peter Quill stole earlier in Guardians 1, but he doesn't steal it because they knock him unconscious. Anyways, then the Nebula of the past of 2014 connects her mind with the Nebula of post-Infinity War, and that way Thanos, the past Thanos, figures out the whole plot of Infinity War before it happens, and so does Gamora, and so does past Nebula, and so does all of Thanos' henchmen. So they decide to swap the Nebulas, and so they send the evil Nebula back to the past, back to the future, where they're putting all the stones together, and they're putting the stones into an Iron Man glove, and they decide who should put it on, and the Hulk puts it on, and he snaps his fingers, and basically everyone gets snapped back into life. Then either Ant-Man or Hawkeye gets a call from his wife, I forget which one it was, but then the evil Nebula manages to teleport Thanos' past ship into the present, and Thanos begins shooting the entire Avengers building with rockets, and it explodes and everyone is in peril, and then Thor, Captain America, and Iron Man walk up on the battlefield and fight with and talk to Thanos, and Thanos mentions to them that he now knows the entire planet, that his new plan is to use the stones once again, but this time to just destroy the whole universe and create a new one. And then following that, they have a big fight, just the 4 of them, and Captain America lifts Thor's hammer and summons lightning, and they fight, and it's pretty epic and cool. But then more people show up, and Thanos unleashes his whole army of like the aliens from the New York battle, and also the aliens from the War battle, and his henchmen that were killed in Infinity War but who are still alive, because this is Thanos from 2014, not the Thanos from after Infinity War, who was killed right in the beginning of this movie. Um, so then, after that, all the remaining heroes gather together and they fight. But then Doctor Strange shows up, and like hundreds of portals open up, and the Wakandan warriors and Black Panther and Spider-Man and the remaining Guardians return because they've been snapped back to life, and like all other heroes who were missing from the fight, and like there's a huge battle between everyone, and then Thanos' ship suddenly starts shooting into the sky, and then it's Captain Marvel who's back, and everyone is fighting and killing stuff. Spider-Man activates kill mode on his suit. What else happens? The Red Witch lady, she tells Thanos that he took everything she loved away from her, and Thanos tells her he doesn't know who she even is. So they fight a little bit, and oh yeah, the glove with the Infinity Stones is like thrown around a lot, and Spider-Man wants to take it to the time machine from the van, but the time machine is destroyed. So then Thanos tries to get the glove, but he is stopped by Captain Marvel, but he throws Captain Marvel away. Then he is stopped by Iron Man, and eventually Thanos manages to put it on, but he tries to snap, and then he says, "I am inevitable," and tries to snap, but nothing happens. And then we see that Iron Man has taken the stones, and the stones are now on his hand, and the nanotech forms another gauntlet around it, and he says, "Well, I'm Iron Man," and then he snaps, and Thanos disappears, and all his henchmen disappear, and yeah, that's how the movie ends. But Iron Man is hurt really badly from the snap, so he dies, and everyone is sad, and then there's a funeral for Iron Man, and Captain America travels back in time with a newly built time machine to fix all the new timelines that were created to return the timeline into just one timeline. And but he doesn't return when they try to get him back. And well, then they see that Captain America is now an old man. He's been sitting there this whole time, and they talk to him, and he reveals that he's lived a whole life away from the Avengers with the one lady who he was in love with at one time. And he gives the Falcon his shield and tells him he's the new Captain America. And Hawkeye reunites with his family, and Ant-Man reunites with his family, and that's Avengers Endgame, and it's pretty cool. Oh yeah, also Thor joins the Guardians of the Galaxy, but he calls them the Guardians of the Galaxy, and yeah, Gamora's still dead. There was a past Gamora who went to the present with them, but it wasn't clear whether she was snapped away like everyone else, or if she was sent back to the past because we don't ever see her again. Evil Nebula was shot by regular Nebula at one point, and that should be all the plot points. So yeah, that was Avengers Endgame. The real hero is the rat who walked over the keyboard to bring Ant-Man back, because without it, they would have just not been able to stop Thanos at all and bring the people back, because they wouldn't have any stones. So yeah, the rat is the real hero, and that's the movie. I hope this is useful to you guys. It's Infinity War, Part 2, Avengers Endgame.